Good Monday morning. I'm meteorologist Jeff Gerber. The next 15 minutes we're going to be talking about the weather for this week. Looks pretty quiet. We do have one day where we could see maybe a few showers. And of course we'll be talking about the tropics. We have a tropical storm and a hurricane out into the Atlantic. Neither one of those is going to be affecting the Gulf, so we don't have to worry about that. But they could be affecting indirectly some of the East Coast as they're out there just to the east of the East Coast. But for today, looks pretty quiet. We have some clear skies out there this morning, but they'll change over to maybe a few clouds later on this afternoon. So we'll go mostly sunny through the afternoon. Highs right around 90 to 91, and then we'll back off into the upper to middle 80s as we head towards the early evening hours. By late in the evening, we'll see temperatures back down into the middle to upper 70s. So not looking bad. If you have any outdoor plans this afternoon, I would stay hydrated with those temperatures around 90. Could get a little hot. But looks like a good evening, especially mid to late evening, as we'll see some comfortable temperatures. A good evening out there to go for a walk or take the dog out, maybe just sit on the front porch and have a glass of sweet tea. I don't know. It looks like a good evening out there. Our allergy report showing high on weed and mold, low on grass, and then 0 on trees. So this is looking a little bit better than what we were looking at least Friday of last week. But still, that weed and mold is still on the high side there. As we check outside, like I said, all we're seeing is blue skies across the area. We are expecting temperatures to get a little warmer, and that should build up a couple of clouds here and there. But right now, we don't see too much. Maybe a few high clouds off in the distance there. That's about it. Here, 12 News Studio right here, looking down on I-10. Looks like traffic's going along pretty smoothly. So if you're heading out to lunch here at around noon, it don't look like you're running too many problems. This is from our 12 News Studio and brought to you by Mid-County Plumbing, part of the Roofing 911 Live Skycam network. And pretty comfortable out there this morning. We had lows this morning back down into the 60s and even some 50s up towards Jasper. Municipal Airport here in Beaumont dipped down into the 50s this morning, so I felt pretty comfortable, maybe even up towards Jasper. Probably a couple of people wearing some jackets out there this morning. It was that cool. Here's a look over towards Lake Charles. I love this shot. It's beautiful out there with the water, and then you can see the I-210 bridge off in the distance there as we look over towards the Lake Charles area. And not too bad. I love to see the boats going by. I put that this camera up on the computer screen for a little while and watch the boats go by from time to time. But nice over there in the lakes area of Lake Charles. Looks like not much going on right now, and we'll continue to see quiet weather through the next 3 or 4 days before we start to bring in a rain chance. It'll be a low-end rain chance, but we'll see maybe a few showers by Friday, it looks like, on our 7-day forecast. And of course, we'll have that at the end here. Take you up towards the lakes here in southeast Texas. This camera brought to you by Provalis as we look down on a few roadways there in Jasper. Just a few cars here and there. Temperatures climbing up into the middle 80s right now and towards the Jasper area. Off in the distance there, you can see some of that traffic going by. That's actually 69, Highway 69 going through Jasper. Up there at that intersection you see kind of in the middle, the lower part of your screen. But right across the street from Provalis, where the camera is Jasper County Courthouse. So you kind of get an idea where this camera is looking down towards some of the roadways there in Jasper. Take a second here and we'll switch over to the Horseman's Western Store in Orange, where we're seeing temperatures already rising up into the middle to upper 80s, about 87 on our Roofing 911 Live Skycam network. Humidity at 55%, which is not horrible. It's not the best I've ever seen, but it's not bad. Typically this time of year, we could see that humidity 60, 70% fairly easy. So we'll take that 55, and we'll also take those northerly winds at about, say, 3 to 5 miles per hour out there. Not looking too bad. Traffic's going along pretty smoothly on I-10. Looks like, I think, a lot of the construction they've gotten almost wrapped up here in this part of I-10. You get a little bit closer to Sabine River, which is just in the other direction. They're still working on some of that traffic, or that construction there. Take you down towards Packard-LaPrée. This is the port of Beaumont as we look at some of the ships there, and blue skies overhead. Currently showing 84 degrees downtown Beaumont from Packard-LaPrée. Once again, humidity in the 50s right now, 57%, so not bad. We're seeing a little bit of an east-northeasterly wind at about 3 to 4 miles an hour. So looking pretty good out there for this morning. Like I said, expecting a couple of clouds to pop up during the afternoon. Kirbyville's temperature updated. Last hour it was showing 77. Now it's jumped to 87 because it's updated. So you can see once you get it updated, you kind of get a better idea. 87 in Woodville and Kirbyville, 86 in Jasper right now, 84 towards Silsbee, as well as Beaumont. Orange is at 86, and Port Arthur currently at about 85. I want to remind you the number down there at the bottom of your screen, 409-749-9302 is the number you can text us and ask any weather questions you have about what's coming up this weekend or maybe in a week or so. We'll give you some idea of what we could think is going to be going on as we go through the next week or so. We won't answer phone calls at this number, but we'll definitely take your text message and try to get back to you as soon as we can. I'll check the phone periodically through the morning. Patrick checks the phone periodically during the evenings, and if we get any questions, we try to get back to you as fast as we can. So if you send in the questions, to have a little patience, we'll try to get back, like I said, as quick as we can. But 409-749-9302, you might want to write that down and just put it as the weather impact line, where you can text us and ask any questions that you have. All right, let's check out what's going on with satellite and radar across the state. You notice East Texas is very quiet. Central Texas, we're seeing some of these high clouds come through, and then a little bit thicker clouds, and even a few showers out towards the Big Bend area, up into even the Texas Panhandle for this morning, back down into Old Mexico there. So a little disturbance there will thin out as it reaches into the high pressure, so we don't have to worry about any showers, at least here today. But they're seeing a couple out in West Texas. They probably enjoy a little bit of rain. It's been dry out there in extreme West Texas, so any showers they can get, they'll be happy to see. For us, we're anywhere between, I say, about 5 and 6 inches behind, depending on where you are in Southeast Texas. Out of the airport officially, right now we're pretty close to about 6 inches behind. We were as high as about 7.5 inches behind before we had some rain a couple weeks ago, but now 5 or 6 inches behind, so we can still catch up before the end of the year. But right now, it doesn't look like we're going to be seeing too much rain as we go through this week. All right, let's check out what's going on around the rest of the country. You can see some of that moisture coming into parts of West Texas, extending all the way up into parts of Oklahoma and Kansas, but dry through the Midwest. We don't see much going on from Minneapolis down to St. Louis, Chicago. Pretty quiet weather. A couple of showers maybe up there towards Wyoming. Looks like a storm system coming into the Pacific Northwest. They're getting some rain out there. It looks like along the west coast. Get down towards Los Angeles, that looks pretty dry, but there is a weather system coming in from Northern California up to Portland, Seattle, finally getting a little bit of rain there. As we look back towards Mississippi Valley, not much going on here. And then as we look towards the East Coast, you can see that moisture coming in. A lot of that is from Tropical Storm Imelda, which is just off the Florida coast, and it's working its way northward. Looks like it's not going to be directing them effectively on the East Coast directly, but they will see some moisture from Imelda. As you can see, that rain coming in right now through the Carolinas, and they're getting some wind, high surf. And just east of there is Hurricane Umberto, which is still out in the Atlantic, should stay out in the Atlantic. I'll show you both of those here in just a second. We'll be looking at the tropics. But our futurecast will take you through the next 24 to 36 hours as we go into the afternoon, expecting temperatures up into the lower 90s. Then we'll back off through the 80s early evening, 70s by late in the evening, and then overnight we'll see temperatures drop back into the 60s. A lot of upper 60s, I think, towards tomorrow morning. Futurecast wants to keep us in the lower 70s, but I'll say we'll see generally upper 60s, maybe a couple of lower 70s here and there. Tomorrow, once again, I'll go mostly sunny. We'll go with highs back up into the upper 80s, lower 90s, and then as we head towards tomorrow night, once again, we'll see temperatures return back to the 60s. All right, here's Hurricane Umberto. 145-mile-an-hour winds. This thing is a beast, moving to the northwest at about 13. At one point over the weekend, it was a Category 5 hurricane, but now 145 as far as the winds. And good news is it's going to be moving off towards the north and then eventually out towards the east, away from the U.S. And they're expecting it to weaken pretty quickly, especially once it gets a little bit farther to the north. You can see by Wednesday, winds down to 105. By Thursday, winds down to about 85. And it just turns into a strong area of low pressure, really not a tropical system at this point, getting up into some cooler water there. And then you can't help but notice off towards the west of that is Tropical Storm Imelda. And we'll take a look at that. And Imelda, right out here east of Florida, actually there's Imelda right there. It's one satellite loop, a little loop behind, but it's starting to get a lot better organized, not affecting Florida directly, but skirting by fairly close. And then it's expected to turn off towards the east as well. and work its way out into the northern Atlantic by this weekend. So this is what's bringing some of those showers up through the Carolinas, some wind, some heavy surf. So not directly making landfall on the East Coast, but definitely giving an impact to the southeastern U.S. With some of the rain and, like I said, some heavy winds and surf. They probably won't feel hurricane force winds, but definitely maybe some tropical storm force winds through parts of maybe northern Florida, even Georgia and South Carolina as this thing kind of skirts by. But you notice it takes a quick turn off towards the east, so it's not going to spend too much more time off that coast of Florida. It's going to start working its way eastward, we hope, pretty soon, and get away from the coast and give them a little bit better conditions. Right now, Imelda's at 60 miles an hour, so it's a strong tropical storm, and it's moving north at 9. Eventually, it makes that quick jog off towards the east. So a couple of things out in the Atlantic, and none of those will be affecting the Gulf. Our coastal marine forecast for today: northeasterly wind at 5 to 15, seas around 2 feet. Next high tide is going to be tomorrow. We had one at 109 this morning. That's the last one for the day. Our sunset tonight's at 7:03. You can see at Texas Point right now, east and northeasterly winds at 8 to 9 miles an hour with water temperature there at about 86. So mostly sunny this afternoon, a little bit of a northeasterly wind. Highs will be hovering around 90 degrees, 90 to about 91. We'll see northeasterly winds at about 3 to 8. And then for tonight, temperatures falling back down into the 60s. I don't think we'll see any 50s tonight, but definitely going to see some upper 60s through the entire area. Maybe a couple of 70s down to places like LaBelle, maybe Winnie or Sabine Pass, a little bit closer to the coast, but just partly cloudy skies overnight. Here's our 7-day forecast, and 7-day forecast is not showing much of a change through Thursday as far as temperatures. 91, 92 takes us through Thursday as far as afternoon highs. Morning lows are going to be back down into the upper 60s. So looking nice and mild in the morning, hot in the afternoon. We have our weak disturbance coming through on Friday. With that, we'll go with a 20% chance of some isolated showers. Won't be a big deal as far as rain on Friday. Outdoor plans, I think you'll still be fine at this point, but just maybe catch a quick passing shower. That's about it. And then as we get into your weekend, Saturday and Sunday, we'll dry out again, and we'll cool down a couple of degrees. We're looking at some upper 80s there. Our average high this time of year is right around about 87. So we'll be just above that as we go through the next 7 days. Our average lows right around about 67 or so. So when we'll be close to that, maybe just above that as far as morning lows. So really a pretty quiet 7-day forecast with the exception of Friday, which does show us maybe a couple of showers here and there. So not looking bad as far as our 7-day forecast. Just be ready for a couple of afternoons here and there that are going to be a little bit on the hot side. So we're going to wrap up this stream here in just about a minute. Thanks for joining me. We'll be doing this every day between Mondays and Friday. We don't do it on the weekends, but we go from 11:30 to 11:45. And then in the evenings, Patrick does the same stream at 6:30 to about 6:45. So if you can't catch us in the morning, maybe catch us after the 6 o'clock newscast in the evenings. Remember that number I showed you earlier? You can always text us that number, ask us a question about the weather, and we'll try to get back to you. There it is on the bottom of your screen, 409-749-9302. Appreciate you watching. If you watched all the way through, I'll be back tomorrow morning at 11:30 to 11:45 to give you the latest on what's going on weather-wise. Hope you have a great day. I'll talk to you tomorrow.